Hello, world. Welcome back to Golf Subpar. Colt Knost, Drew Stoltz, also known as football experts. Please, we are on an absolute heater right now. We'll get to golf, but let's talk a little football real quick.
Perfect. Let's open it up with a little ball, with a little pig.
We each took two games that we liked. Florida State for you, winner. Oklahoma for me, beat a shitty Nebraska team. But we also threw in a fun little parlay there with you. Max Homa to top 10, along with the Cal Bears to cover. By the way, there were several of you out there that sent me DMs saying Notre Dame is going to kill them by 3 touchdowns. There's no chance Cal covers this bet. And I'm like, hey, man, let's just see what happens. I'm pretty sure you don't know more about football than we do because we're the best.
Right.
But it cruised. Other than the fumble at the end, which almost gave us both a heart attack at Cal Club.
We were at the bar at Cal Club, about to just start counting our chicken. I was like, this seen weirder shit happen than this. Pick sixes, fumbles. All of a sudden, damn if it doesn't fumble back. And it's just silence in there. I was like, this is how we're going to lose this thing right here. By the way, we watched the Florida State game in there, too. That thing got a little close for a minute, too. That was a grinded out towards the end. But as soon as that fumble, I was like, can't do this. Can't do it. Let us be successful one time.
The Max Homa top 10 was the least stressful part of the whole thing.
We saw Max after like Friday. I was like, oh, he's leading? Okay. So cool. That's 100%. He'll close out a top 10.
But talk about the end of that golf tournament. I mean, you talk about the tables turning quickly. I had people, one of our good buddies, David Levan, texted me, and he's like, what the fuck just happened in the last 2 minutes?
That's exactly what every person who saw that happen was thinking. I was the damnedest. I don't know, like, you know, you get the like football game odds when you look on your phone. It's like, oh, they're 97% chance to win. After the third shots on the 18th hole, I would love to know the probability of Danny Willett not winning and if he didn't win, not losing in a playoff. So losing in regulation, what his odds were. What do you think it had?
That would have been a fun thing to look at.
That's got to be less than one. That's for sure less than 1%.
Yeah, I mean, data golf does this stuff.
0.00 something.
It would have been 1% or less. I mean,
had to be.
You had to have Max Homa obviously chip in, and then Danny Willett miss a 3-foot-7-inch putt.
The chip in could happen. Yeah. A miss could happen, but a chip in on top of a 3 putt doesn't happen. That was the most. I was like, for Danny, I was like, damn, that's just about the worst way you could possibly lose one. But then at the same time, I was like, Max, go ahead and get your 5th there, bud. Yeah. Right on the way to the Prezi Cup. Yeah, God, things are going.
Kyle Porter put out a great tweet from CBS. He took a screenshot of both where Max was hitting his 4th and where Danny Willett was hitting his 4th. And he goes, Max took 1 to get down from here. Willett took 3 to get down from here.
Yeah, it was watching Danny hit that. It was 3 feet 7 inches what they had it on the shot tracker. I'm not overly shocked. It's not just mind-blowing that he would miss that, but it is mind-blowing, I think, that he would roll it 4+, have longer coming back, and then miss that one too. I was like, man, I don't know. You saw his little wry smile though after Max chipped it in, and he was kind of like, "You just let me." Can I?
Well, it's just the one thing you can't have happen is a chip in. Like if he just misses the chip, it's like, okay, I can just tickle this one down there and it's over. And by the way, Danny Willett, I've known him since Walker Cup days. That's who I played in both days at singles. One of the best putters on the planet. We saw him roll it when he won the Masters in 2016. I mean, putting is a strength of his game. That was just a total shock. He made the huge
the one on 17 was monstrous. In that rain, I was like, look, they're going to miss one. You're going to 3-putt one. Like, this is it. Then, all right, so you're like, okay, he's feeling some nerves, but he calms him down with that 9-footer on 17. Huge balls to make that putt. And then comes back. No one can get there. Max could have gotten there, but Danny, hit wood and had to lay up. And I was like, all right, well, this is a nervy little kind of shot there. Front left pin is a little tough. Maybe I was expecting him to throw it past the hole, try to spin it back. He didn't there. I was like, damn, he's handling the nerves fine. But obviously, as soon as Max doinks one, it gets a little different. But that ending of that thing, I was going back and forth between golf, football. I was like, holy shit. I wonder how many people who love golf are watching football right now that didn't just see that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a perfect day to have multiple TVs because there was a lot going on. I had the Cowboys going. Max Homa trying to get his 5th win, which he obviously did. Heading into the President's Cup with a ton of confidence. I mean, this guy, he's going to be a top 10 player in the world at the end of the year.
That golf swing is getting more and more just robot perfect. I'm like, it looks like if you go to one of your club manufacturers and they got the robot that hits and it goes back to the top real slow and then just fires and it's perfect. You're like, why don't I try to swing like that? That's what Max does. I feel like I'm watching the little machine hit it. It's unbelievable. He's going to win multiple more times. It's interesting to hear his interviews. Like, yeah, some people on Twitter said, if it weren't for the live guys, I wouldn't be on the President's Cup team. I was like, who's saying that?
Yeah, I would
you just won 3 times in a year.
He's won the most in the last, I believe, 18 months than anyone else on the PGA Tour. He's got 4 wins in 41 months.
4 wins and 41 starts. That's 10%. That's
pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, he's dumping.
Congratulations, Max. Keep on rolling, especially since you live here and you're flying private now. But that's a story for
another all win. Day. Everyone's a winner here. We all won this week.
But let's talk about the main event of the golfing world. the member guest out at Cal Club.
Oh.
You and your partner, Brian
What
Waters.
happened?
My man, Fukuhara, the absolute beauty.
Oh, God.
He was described to me before. I never met the guy. He was described to me
He's
before
special.
as a man who likes to have a good time and get amongst it.
What'd you
even
think?
more than we did. He lived up to the hype,
You
guys.
feel like he was described appropriately?
He was definitely prescribed.
Prescribed?
Prescribed. He was also prescribed.
He was also, yeah.
But it was so much fun. I'd never played Cal Club before.
How sick.
Love the place.
So
It
good.
is so much fun to play.
Yep.
The fairways, my God, are they tight?
Sandy.
Not width-wise, the height they cut them.
And sandy. They got the fescue out there. It is the most chunkable environment in the world. I've seen guys that, like, my partner, for instance, like he puts from 40. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He's a really good player. He's a great. He made it. He won a match in the U.S. Senior Am. He can golf his ball.
17th ranked senior amateur in the world.
He's going with the 17th best senior am in the United States or the world. And I would see him in practice round stuff putting. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, dude, trust me, it's the play. And then after playing out there, I'm like, yeah, dude, the 60 laid open ain't it. It's different.
I know y'all didn't play the way you wanted. We'll get to something
We played
cool
good,
that
dude.
happened.
We just couldn't win more than a point at a time.
Me and my man were cruising. We were just in that perfect what'd you describe at Graham DeLette's event? You got your peak.
You
gotta
peak.
get your
You
peak
got to
and you
hit the
hold
peak
it.
super early, but you got to hold the peak.
We held it.
valley, and you cannot go higher than the peak because that's dangerous. Also, you just have to peak early, peak often. Shouldn't be a problem.
Well, we peaked and we held it together for 2 days. Our only match we didn't win was we pushed with you and Waters in the last match, which we had a pretty big lead in the first flight.
But we
there,
battled.
so it didn't matter. You had a nice battle, but Sleaze, it all came down to the shootout. And they do it different there. There are a lot of teams like advance. If you make par, you're automatically in, and then if there's only a certain amount of pars, it goes to the next one and it's putt off. Well, we cruised through the first hole. Meanwhile, after our match with y'all, we had about 2 hours to kill before the shootout, and that's when we started to go downhill. Or at least I did.
You stop peaking. You're coming down from the summit. It's even more dangerous than going up.
Because, we were sitting at the bar. Football was on. I'm like, okay, just more cocktails. Here they come. Well, we got to the shootout, and I was like, oh, boy. I might have overindulged a little bit here. Second playoff hole is the 11th, the par 4 down the hill. My man hits a beautiful tee shot, 84 yards, just sitting right there. I'm like, this is a cupcake. This is 3.5 at worst. Right in the middle of the ball, skull fuck, back bunker. I was mortified. I felt so bad for my partner.
In front of everyone.
We had such a great week. It was great. And then I hit it in the back bunker. He hits it out to about 20 feet. I hit a terrible putt. He misses the bogey putt. We make dub from 84 yards, and it's over.
And dirt nap.
Yep.
11 is the Bermuda Triangle of wedges. I have hit a few weirdies there, too. I'm like, what? I have it gets brought up every time I'm on the hole by the partner. He's like, here you go. What are you going to do? I've laid sod. It's tricky environment, especially when you're 72 cocktails deep. Yep. It can happen.
We went in as the 6th seed out of 6 in the championship flight, though, and we prevailed.
Yeah,
so,
you guys are in a good spot. That was going to be a tough team to give.
But we also signed a lifetime contract. So
is that
I will
good?
be back.
Yeah, is that good?
Well, I don't know how long each of our lives are going to be, but
yeah, it's day to day at this point.
But man, that was an absolute blast. Cal Club, y'all put on a great show. It was a lot of fun.
That place is so good. First day, I had a little cool moment. Got to play with Steph Curry out there, see it up close and personal. It's good, dude. Legit. He showed up. I was like, "What's your hand?" He's like, +1. Okay, works out. And first hole, right out the car, short par 5, eag, bomb. Short iron in if you hit that downhill.
So he's 2 up, 3 1 on you.
2 up, 3 1. Yeah, absolutely. He was like 3 under, 3 3. I was like looking at Waters like this is gonna be bad for the ego. He played good, dude. He probably shot even 1 under somewhere around there. The kids, it's unbelievable that I'm like that's the best basketball player in the world, arguably. Right? He's dedicated his entire life to that, and here he is playing this like secondary sport, and he's that good at it.
He is. It's fun to watch and everything. He does. And he's such a nice dude, sitting out, hanging out in the locker room with the magician.
The wizard came back.
Oh, my God.
What did I tell you about
He's
the wizard?
unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, staying on the Steph Curry topic, how about the one where he was like, all right, somebody sign a card, and he handed it to Steph. I was like, oh,
yeah,
you,
so auction this.
You, Mr. Random Person over here, why don't you just go ahead and put your Johnny Hancock on that? I was like, you didn't pick any of us for the signature trick here, but he peeled his freaking signature off the back of the card and then shuffled it all up, and it re-showed up on the number side. The dude is... He's a little bit terrifying, honestly. I told you. Was I overhyping him or no?
No, he was great. Those guys are
dude,
incredible.
He's a scary dude.
He had everybody freaking out. It was a lot of fun. But once again, thank you so much to Cal Club for a great week. We probably need to resupply your Doers because I think we consumed most of it. And Doers blended Scotch whiskey and the great game of golf are a match made in Scotland. Because honestly, few things are better after a round of golf than a round of Doers. Especially Doers 15-year-old, created to be a lighter, sweeter blended Scotch whiskey. It's double-aged and as smooth as peering an iron over the bunker for a tap-in birdie. With notes of honey and toffee that play off subtle floral notes, this is a must-try blended Scotch. We love it so much we recommend giving a bottle to someone special for a milestone birthday, promotion, or even a close friend's wedding. You can make your gift even more meaningful by making a personalized bottle or a custom label at Doers.com. So here's the perfect blended Scotch whiskey. And to golf, a perfect combination. Enjoy responsibly, which we obviously did. It's now time for the Doers Cheers moment of the week. And Sleaze, I was glad you could be there.
This was pain. My joy turned to pain, turned back to joy very quickly.
Well, we were out there playing against you and your partner, Brian Waters. I believe we were 1 up through 5. We come to the 6th. Difficult par 3, by the way. Nasty
Great
green.
hole.
Yes.
Shorty, not long, but a lot of bugs.
178 yards, little helping wind. I hit a nice 7-iron, as you'd say in Doers, just pured it right over the bunker. She got to tracking and all of a sudden disappeared, and then all hell broke loose.
All hell did break loose, and I was like, God damn it! Why in our of all the teams that could have happened against, why us? And then I was like, you know what? Who gives a shit? We're gonna go over there. We're gonna slam some Doers. We're gonna have a good time. We're probably not winning this thing. Let's go have ourselves a day. Went over there, warmed up the belly a little bit, and kept it moving. But it landed. It started tracking. I was like, oh, it's left of it. Maybe it rolls long. I don't know. Then it starts turning. I was like, that is going directly at the hole. That is, and all of a sudden just bam. And there was none of that like, oh, did it go over the tier or it's long? You know, some of them look like they go in. No, I was like, that's in the hole. And
that was fun.
Went ape shit on that tee for a while.
We did. It was ace number 11. So it was really cool. And to have it there was really fun. And to have you in the group and Waters. Well, I don't even think Waters said congratulations.
Waters broke his 8-iron and then he was about
he got so upset.
Walk to the cart. I was thinking, you're going to hit one, dog? Well, you could make it too.
I love it. Well, that was a lot of fun. And we're on to the President's Cup. It's President's Cup week. Team USA, massive favorite over the Internationals, minus 700 at FanDuel.
Juicy.
Jesus, that's a lot.
Juicy line.
But our guest this week has been a staple on that team, making his 10th consecutive President's Cup appearance, the beautiful Adam Scott. By the way, there's a couple little audio here and there.
Yeah.
Be nice. He was in Switzerland.
He's in Switzerland in a room that before we went on air, it looked like I was like, are you in your sauna? It was all wood, everything behind him. And so he was a long ways away. There's a little bit of audio, but fun to hop on with Adam, dude. You'll hear about it here. We'll recap it at the end, but he's a dude, man.
All right, here's Adam Scott on Golf Subpar.
All right, folks, we've got the man with one of the most YouTube swings on the planet with us here today. He's making his 10th consecutive appearance at the President's Cup for the Internationals. He's won 14 times on the PGA Tour, including a little tournament called the Masters. Adam Scott is with us. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. First off, before we get to some serious golf stuff, we got to talk about this hair, because I was actually talking to your caddy, your old caddy, Tony Navarro, earlier, and he was telling me when you let the hair grow, you can get quite the fro going.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the looks of it right here. He told me about a little story over at Sun City when y'all went to, they call it the Bry.
I let it go that evening down there. That was a long time ago.
Like how big we talking?
It was pretty big size. For me anyway. I don't know if you guys remember, but Tim Clark and myself, we didn't cut our hair for like a year and a half or something at some point, and the golf media picked up on it, and it was getting a little out of hand, and that must have been in December sometime. So I'm thinking it was toward the end of that, and it was casting. I think everyone made fun that night because it was like casting a shadow at the Bry. I stood in front of a light or something when they announced the players, and like there was this silhouette of a massive pro there.
Most golfers would die for a hairline like that, and you're concealing it under a hat. I think you'd be a perfect let it go for a bit and then throw the visor on. I think that would be a good look for the kid.
It'd be quite an interesting look. Yeah, I think I don't mind that look, but it'd shock a few people for sure. I don't know. I've had a few looks over the years. If you troll back through some photos and you're like, really, you did that? Yeah, there are a few of them.
Well,
You're getting there right now.
yeah, and you're getting ready for your 10th President's Cup over in Charlotte. But right now you're in Switzerland at your home. First of all, how often are you in Switzerland, and are you traveling out of there to like PGA Tour events, or do you have a place over in America as well?
Yeah, no, for the last 2.5 years, I've called Switzerland home, and we've lived here. Our kids went into school here 2.5 years ago. They're still little, but they started school about that time, and I've been traveling in and out. It was really inconvenient during COVID. That was a disaster. So that wasn't a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a fair bit of travel going on, but I'm pretty used to it.
When you're home in Australia, like I know you like to surf, you like to get out there, be active. What do you do in Switzerland if you're not out on the golf course practicing, getting ready?
Well, believe it or not, there is actually a wave pool 30 minutes from the house here. You know, one of those wave gardens, which is pretty fun. So I occasionally I do get to surf in Switzerland, believe it or not. But most of the time, it's chasing around kids. Really, that's what like
Yep.
most parents do, is chasing the kids around, and they're getting more and more activities going. So running drop-offs and pickups and coordinating that. That's really what I'm up to. But it's pretty nice up here. We live up in the mountains, and I guess mountain biking is kind of the thing to do.
Yeah, he's so active. Well, speaking of chasing kids, you're going to do some of that next week over in Charlotte at Quail Hollow. Y'all got a rather young team on the international squad. What's it mean for you to, I mean, this is obviously a huge event. Your 10th one. How excited do you get going into these events?
No, it's great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad we got a ton of young guys on there. They can just carry me around for the week. They're not going to run out of energy. It's going to be great. And really, I think I'm probably the last old guy hanging in on a really changing international lineup. We saw a fair bit of change 2.5 years ago in Melbourne when Ernie was the captain of the team. I think the team took on a pretty young look there, and again, it's gone younger again this year. And I think it's that time. It's kind of a shift for the internationals. A lot of good stuff has happened for our team since Ernie took on the captaincy and passed it on to Trevor. He's continued some of the stuff Ernie started. And, it's very refreshing seeing these young guys who have spent their entire lives dreaming of making an international President's Cup team. It's the first time I think we're at that point where for their entire life, they've been looking at the President's Cup to make a team.
Yeah, and Adam, you're like a fairly, I would say, under the radar guy. You don't like a lot of attention. You're not the loudest guy in the room. But now that you're the veteran guy in this locker room with the international team, what's that like for you to be the leader, the vocal leader? Is that a role you like and look forward to?
Yeah, I don't mind that role. I mean, I kind of play the role that the captains need me to play. The best role I can play is winning points role, and I certainly do feel as like a older player on the team. There's no doubt the young guys are looking for some kind of leadership. I know I was when I was a young guy on the team. So without overstepping the mark, I certainly speak up when I feel appropriate and just try and fill the room with confidence and belief that we can go out there and play 18 holes and that they can all match with the US guys over 18 holes. And if we do it enough, we're going to come away with the cup.
And I mean, you're missing some rather big names from the international team with their choice to go over to live. You know, I know guys like Cam Smith, Mark Leishman have looked up to you their whole career. Were you in their ear at all saying, hey, maybe wait until after Charlotte? Like, let's give this thing a go for the President's Cup, or did you kind of just stay out of it?
There's no doubt our team took a pretty significant hit, and when we're the underdogs, that's not ideal. But with the way things are moving in the game of golf at the moment, the timing certainly wasn't on the international team side on this one. I wish they could have waited around, but they've been presented with an opportunity that they couldn't turn down, that's what it is. It's just, I guess we haven't really had this kind of disruption before, all these things, but it happens in every other sport, whether people are traded or decide to join another team or something like that. And it's a different time for golf. We're all going to have to kind of get used to it, I guess.
Did you ever think, like, with throughout your career, I mean, the money just keeps going up and up and up in the game of golf. Did you ever think, like, there was going to be this kind of disruption during your career?
Probably not. I probably didn't think about it. It's been so dominated by the PGA Tour for my entire career. Certainly I came along at an incredible time. I think Tiger Woods had been a pro about 3 years, and the Tiger Woods effect just started to take shape, and purses just got bigger. Tiger did his thing, and they kept getting bigger, and the PGA Tour went from strength to strength. So it was not something that anyone was really focused on. There had been rumblings about some kind of league for the last 5 or 6 years, but I guess every time those rumblings got louder, it just looked so difficult for it to start. I mean, the PGA Tour had such a stranglehold on the top level pro golf. So, yeah, even back earlier this year, everyone was thinking again, it's just talk and nothing's happening. But here we are toward the end of the year, and Liv is up and running and going, and they have certainly acquired some formidable names in the game of golf.
Yeah, and a couple of those names, like we mentioned, Cam Smith, Mark Leishman, I think those are guys that we probably had pegged for you to be partners with at some point during Quail Hollow. Now that they're not on the team, do you have any idea of guys that you might be paired with or would like to be paired with on this team?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think personally, I would love to play with any of them. They're all really great players. If I could play with an Australian, I think that'd be fun. But one thing I have learned through all the years of the President's Cup, and then certainly has only brought a more data analytical approach to our team, is these natural pairings of joining your countrymen together doesn't always work out great, and probably didn't for us for a long time. And if you go back and remember in Melbourne, through the team portion of the President's Cup, the internationals were leading by 2, I think, going into the singles on Sunday, with again a weak team, and but using some of the data to our advantage enabled us to strengthen the team up. So although I'd love to roll out and play with Cam Davis from Australia, I think that'd be really fun. I don't know if that's really on the cards or not, but you look at some of these guys I've who wouldn't want to partner Hideki Matsuyama, just nuts it down the middle and puts it on the green every time. I've partnered him before, and that'd be great too. We've had some good matches together. Anyone we go up against is going to be a tough match, and all we can do is get prepared for it.
And like we said, this is your 10th appearance. At some point, you're going to be a captain. And I know y'all have only won once in the history of the President's Cup. With that being said, is there anything that you would like to see them change, possibly in the format or how the teams are picked or anything like that, to maybe make it more competitive?
Well, I'm not going to be the guy to sit on here and complain because we lose all the time. The internationals got together a few years ago and had a fair dig at the tour to make some change. And if you remember back in 2015, they significantly lowered the points. 15. We play for 2 more points overall in the week than the Ryder Cup, and it used to be 6 more, and they were all before the Sunday singles. So if you have a significantly stronger team trotting out with 6 more points before the bulk of the points come on Sunday in the singles, it's sometimes hard to overcome. And we push pretty hard to get the same format as the Ryder Cup, which is an incredibly successful event. Seems to produce magic every year in a way, and the right kind of formula. However, there was a bit of pushback about having two of the same events and needing a point of difference for the President's Cup, and we've got to this point. And I think directing the focus back on what our team can do better, which Ernie really did a great job of diving in and analyzing what we should do better rather than what the whole tournament should change, got us into a much better place in Melbourne. And I think Trevor's got to be focusing on similar things, and he has, and he's leaving no stone unturned, and we'll be as prepared as we can be. But in saying all that, the internationals really need to win one so this thing becomes a bit more interesting for everybody. That is for sure. And we're up against it. The American team is red hot this year, and but also a bit of a younger looking team. Maybe not quite as much experience as some of the great US teams over history, and maybe we'll catch them on an off day.
And maybe not as much scar tissue for some of those young guys too. But I'll say this, speaking personally, I thought Melbourne was one of the most entertaining, fun to watch President's Cups, maybe going back all the way to South Africa. Do you have a favorite moment in any of your President's Cups right now that stands out? Like, yes, that was my favorite moment of President's Cup competition.
I probably can mention a favorite moment from everyone I play in. They're quite, they're special events. We don't often play them, so I have strong memories from probably each one. The last one in Melbourne, I felt like was an incredibly special feeling for me, playing in front of the home crowd. And for the first time ever, I felt like we had a home crowd advantage. I felt like the crowd was very much on our side and a little less on the American side. I always have felt, certainly with Tiger and everybody else, but when they travel the world, because they don't travel outside America so much, everyone's so excited to see the US team too. They kind of forget that we're meant to have the home advantage, and the cheering is very equal, which is all very nice. But Melbourne was great for me personally. I felt incredibly supported at home, but I also felt the rest of our team was supported. So that was pretty fun. But South Africa, I think, was the greatest experience of the President's Cup for me, when it came down to Tiger and Ernie having a playoff, both in the primes of their career. It was really fascinating stuff, really, and incredibly nerve-wracking watching that on the sidelines.
I can't imagine, and especially those two having to play in the dark with everything on the line. That one's going to be hard to beat for sure, and we can't wait for Charlotte. But I want to talk a little bit about Tiger. Do you remember the first time you met him? Was it when were you working with Butch Harmon yet?
First time I met him, I'm pretty sure the first time I met him was actually I was at UNLV, and he used to actually train with the trainer of the UNLV golf team in Las Vegas. He was occasionally in Las Vegas, and I just met him at the gym there, and there was nothing more to it than that. But I really met Tiger and got to play with him for the first time when he was working with Butch Harmon, and I just started working with Butch Harmon.
Okay, folks, it's time to play your best golf with the Rapsodo MLM, the #1 rated personal launch monitor on the market today. Featuring incredibly precise measurements, remarkable accuracy, data-rich visuals, and new performance combines, the MLM is the mobile launch monitor to help the grinders, the range rats, and the golf junkies get better by delivering more insights and structure to every practice session. Pairing Doppler radar with an iPhone or iPad camera, Rapsodo MLM ensures that every golf ball is tracked and incredibly accurate. Additionally, MLM gives shot tracing for every swing and visually charts each shot for a better understanding of consistency, accuracy, and length. The pro-level data and metrics provide measurable and actionable feedback to make practice sessions smarter, more structured, and more focused toward improvement. And let's talk about the new Performance Combines tool now available for MLM Premium subscribers. The new Performance Combines feature is a 24-shot test at 2 targets and a driver to identify golfers' biggest weaknesses. They also know where their game needs the most work. Designed by industry-leading and trusted golf expert Dr. Sasho McKinsey, Performance Combines utilizes over 100,000 shots of PGA-level data and 20-plus years of data directly from Dr. McKinsey's work with different skill levels and handicaps. Practice with a purpose every time you hit the range. Better practice, better scores, better golf. Just go to rapsodo.com/subpar and use promo code SUBPAR for $100 off the MLM. Right now, Rapsodo is also offering a $30 off bundle discount for MLM and their premium subscription. So Subpar listeners have the opportunity to save over $130 total with purchase of the bundle package. Stop wasting time on the range with ineffective practice that doesn't lead to improvement. Get a Rapsodo MLM and get a plan for lower scores.
Take me through how you got to start working with Butch, because that's not one that just anyone can call Butch and be like, hey, I'd like to come take a lesson from you.
3 o'clock? Yeah.
Like, I know you're Adam Scott, you're at UNLV, you got a little bit of a name, but was that something like, did you reach out to him, or did Greg Norman help? How did that whole relationship start?
I'm glad he didn't charge me for that first lesson, that's for sure. Because there was not much in the account when I was going to UNLV. Charlie Hoffman took most of any money I had off me gambling at UNLV. But that's another story. When I met Butch, was through a mutual friend, I'd say now, but a real legend of Australian golf, Tom Crow. He founded Cobra back in the day, Cobra Golf. And when I came to America, he'd taken upon himself to just make sure I was getting on okay over there. You know, I was pretty young when I came over. I was 17, played a summer of amateur golf, and then started at UNLV as a freshman. And he was helping me out with a bit of equipment and just making sure I found my feet when I came up from the little pond in Australia to the big pond in the States. And after a little while, he felt my game was in a place where, and I was settled in Vegas, which is where Butch coached, that he wanted to introduce me and see if that was a good direction for me to go. So he made that introduction. They are great friends. They've been great friends for a long time. And yeah, I'd say, I don't know that Butch and I just clicked straight away. However, I mean, I was so nervous. I still remember hitting the first few balls in his swing studio and wasn't sure whether I was going to get them outside the building or not. I mean, hands were shaking. It's like being on the first tee, having Butch watch over you. And this is in the end of 99. So like really prime Tiger mania stuff. He's about to go on an absolute tear for the next few years. And, you know, it was a great opportunity for me to have a guy who'd taken not only Tiger to the top, but Greg Norman and coached so many others, just have a look in on my game. So it was a fortunate meeting.
Yeah, and around that time when you were working with Butch, Tiger was working with Butch. I mean, your swing and Tiger's swing looked a lot alike, got compared to each other quite often. Was his swing something that you like consciously tried to emulate? Like a lot of people obviously try to do that, but yours looked like his, or was that just the way you swung the club naturally?
No, there was no doubt. As a teenager, or I guess Tiger really burst onto the international scene where we could see a swing of his when I was about 16 years old, 16 or 17. So from about that time, I kind of morphed out of swinging like Greg Norman and a big like reverse C and a sliding foot to a bit more swiveling of the hips like Tiger had, and speed that way. Because, you know, everyone wanted to kind of emulate what Tiger was doing at that point. And again, this is in the 90s, really. You didn't have a lot of access to video analysis. It was far from just take a video on your phone and look at your swing. So I was just doing what I thought looked like Tiger. And it did. It looked a fair bit like Tiger. I think the rhythm of it, you know, slow, deliberate swing back then, and then a really fast lash at the ball was convincing people enough that it was similar to Tiger. But when Butch broke it down on his video equipment, you know, some of the positions were a little bit different. And we definitely did work on some similar stuff that Butch had success working on Tiger with when he was a little younger, like I was at that time.
Well, you got to compete against him for a number of years. I mean, you were one of the best players in the world. I remember at the '08 U.S. Open, it was number 1, 2, and 3 in the world. You were the number 3 player in the world, getting to play in that group with him and Phil Mickelson. People love Tiger stories. Do you have one that kind of sticks out of your time of playing with Tiger throughout your career?
Oh yeah, sure. I have plenty of them. I think I don't know what people really like hearing. I think the interesting ones to me was, you know, what physically he just did everything better than everyone. He drove it better than everyone, irons, chipped, putted, clutch. It was everything better than everyone, and that's why he was dominating. But he just had it in the head so much better than everyone. And then it got to the point where he would just play mind games on the course in majors. He would pull way too much club on a par three and let you know and let you see it as it was playing out. And he'd make like kind of a full swing with a 7 and flight it in there nicely and let you see it was a 7, and you were tossing up whether it's a 8 or a 9. And you're like, well, it's definitely 8 then if he's hit 7. And then you go ahead and hit the 8 and airmail the green. I mean, this was kind of standard stuff where he was just messing with guys so much. But it got to the point where I started having some success playing with Tiger by not watching him play. That was the best way to go. I literally turned my back and didn't watch him make a move or hit a shot or feel like I could get sucked into the drama that was playing with Tiger Woods, because there was so much going on. But I think the '08 US Open was a great one. I mean, him hobbling around on one leg. He looked pretty awful the first 27 holes. And then he had this 5 under back 9 on Friday and put himself right in there. And of course, did his thing on the weekend with all the dramatics that he does. It's truly quite incredible. I just don't know that certainly in my lifetime that we'll see somebody else playing the game at a level so far above anybody else. It was quite remarkable.
I mean, what an asshole! You just take 2 clubs more on purpose just to mess with the guy.
I hadn't heard that part before. That's fascinating. That's just like, I'm so far above everyone. I don't even care about hitting like the best shot. I'm just gonna mess with their brains enough so that they mess up too.
The first time he did it to me, I got to play. My first major was the 2000 Open Championship at St Andrews, and I'd gone through all the qualifyings and made it. I'd been a pro like a month, and Butch got me to play a practice round with Tiger, O'Meara, and I think it was Duval. And so it's a big group, and they played major practice rounds all the time, and it was like they played $1,000 no-bogeys, and that was the game. So of course I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, I don't even know if I'd made a check for $1,000 at that point. And on the 11th hole, I was the only guy in the group without a bogey. So it was all on me, and this is looking good. And Tiger hit kind of this soft, buttery 4-iron into the 11th green. It was a little bit into the wind. And I had 5-iron in my hand thinking that was right. Saw he hit the 4, went back to the bag, got the 4, airmailed the green. And he said, you should never look in my bag.
That's great.
That's fantastic. All right, I want to take you to another story.
That cost me a bogey.
Costly too when you haven't had a check for $1,000 yet. I want to take you to another story here that we got this from your boy Jeff Ogilvy, right? So I want to take you back to 2006 U.S. Open. He ends up winning at Winged Foot, dramatic fashion. I don't think anybody really saw it coming, but he told us that you were on your plane, ready to take off. Check your phone, you see that he wins, and you come back and meet him at the hotel that night for a celebration. Can you walk us through that story? He told it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, so we finished up, and I don't know where I finished, but not close to winning. And Jeff was right up there, but he also wasn't necessarily looking like winning. There were so many people ahead of him. And I remember I was flying back to London with Ernie. Ernie invited me to fly back to London, which is dangerous at times. And and Thomas Bjorn were on the flight, and we were at the airport, and Jeff's won the U.S. Open, and I thought, man, we've played junior golf, amateur golf, and basically I followed him to Europe and then came to America, and my mates just won the US Open. I think I got to go back and celebrate with him. I didn't know who he had with him that week or who was around, so I thought I'll go back for sure. So that's it. I took my bags and went back to the golf course. I met him at the golf course, and of course, not thinking straight, he had a lot to do at the golf course after he won the US Open. So I was just hanging out with his caddy, and then eventually went back to the hotel. And yeah, that night he filled up the trophy, and I definitely took a few sips celebrating out of the trophy. So I have had my hands on the US Open trophy, even though I haven't won it.
Wasn't it in like the lobby of the Hampton Inn? And like he said, you guys were drinking on like random golf fans were just walking in like, holy shit, that's Jeff Ogilvy and Adam Scott. Like, oh my God, like guys were just joining in. Like I just hit the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. It was somewhere. It was like the Marriott in White Plains or somewhere like that. And yeah, there were tons of randoms there at the end, and the trophy was just getting passed around.
Love it. You gotta win a trophy you can drink out of.
Yeah, that's why you gotta. I imagine the Haverkamp show up from across the country and they walk in to go to bed. Oh, there it is. There's the winner.
I love it. Yeah. Well, let's go to a tournament you did win, the 2013 Masters. Take us through that week, because I know your first ever Masters, you top 10. So I'm guessing you kind of liked the place right from the get go. But take us through 2013. Was that one you're coming into? You're like, okay, this very well could be my year.
Yeah, to be honest, it was. I was kind of feeling I had my game completely under control generally at the time. And going back to that time, I had put such a huge focus on being prepared to play the majors. And I felt like I started getting the kind of respite, the ingredients right leading up to major weeks, and getting to Augusta for sure that week everything was really under control. I was swinging great, and I played a couple practice rounds, 9 holes Tuesday, Wednesday with Ernie and Louis Oosthuizen. Brandon Grace might have played one day and Charles the other day, and just played so well. And it's not often that your colleagues make comment about how you're playing, but Ernie did and Louis did, and sometimes you can just tell when a guy's really got it all together, and even their demeanor. And I think I was just there. It was like, it might not get any better than this for me, like the chances, and I was just ready to do it. I think generally that was the feeling going on around me that time, which is a nice feeling to have. I'd like to replicate that again at some point.
Take us through, because you made an incredible birdie on the 72nd hole. You made that putt in the rain. You're playing with Mark Leishman. He goes nuts. Possibly you might have just won the Masters, and then Angel Cabrera comes in the last group and just stones it on 18. Mm-hmm. Were you watching, or were you on the putting green? Where were you when all this happened?
No, I was still he was group behind me, so I was in recording, and they had a little TV screen in there. Fortunately, I'd counted my card up correctly before he stoned it, but I was watching him there. I guess luckily I'd been around long enough to know that it wasn't over. And to be fair, Steve Williams was caddying for me at the time. And before we left the 18th green and walked through, and obviously there was quite an atmosphere going on, and it kind of felt like I might have just won the Masters. He said, this thing isn't over yet. So that probably prepared me as well. And then when he stoned it in there, it was like, okay, well, I always kind of had this feeling of, well, this is good. It's only down to 2 of us for the Masters now. There's only 2 left. So the chances are getting better and better.
Yeah, and you end up making the birdie putt on 10 to win the Masters. You're the first Australian to ever win the Masters. Tell us, for us, like, how big was that when you went back to Australia as the Masters champion? I mean, what's that moment like over there?
It was a big deal. Generally, although we don't play all the same sports as everywhere in the world, and we have made up some of our own funny sports. Certainly, Americans probably think they're quite funny, like cricket, Australian rules football. We really rate ourselves as sportsmen in Australia, and we're a strong sporting country. And the Masters was kind of like the last peak that we hadn't managed to summit in sport. The year before, Cadel Evans had won the Tour de France and become the first Australian to win the Tour de France. And all these boxes had been checked, but not the Masters. And because I think Greg Norman was so close so many times to winning the Masters, that event was big anyway, but with Greg being so dominant in the game for a long time and not getting over that line, it became a big thing. So to take the green jacket down to Australia was really, a bit of a parade for a month for everybody to see it. It was like this mythical article of clothing that had never made it to Australia before.
And Adam, when you're in that conversation at the time as one of the best players without a major, and then you finally go ahead and get it done at Augusta the way you did, is it more joy or is there a sense of relief? Like, okay, I don't have to answer that question anymore. That's behind me. No matter what happens from this point forward, I'm a major champion.
Honestly, I think it's more joy. I don't know how long I was in that conversation of being the best player without a major. I was a good player, but until a couple of years before I won the Masters, I wasn't featuring regularly in majors. I think about 2011 that started changing and I was performing better. So I didn't really feel like I had that monkey on my back for too long. Luckily, I think to answer that, it was more just joy. I mean, it's an incredible feeling. When I think about standing down there on the 10th green with my arms in the air and rolling it in, it's probably impossible to top that moment in my career, even if I went on to win another one or another major or something like that. The first one has to be very special.
No doubt. That was such a cool moment. I'll never forget it. Raising your arms like that. And Stevie with the incredible read, who said it wasn't going to break quite as much as you thought, correct?
No, he thought it was going to break twice as much as I thought.
Oh, twice as much. Okay.
Which is even a bigger call at the time, if you think about it. I said, I think it's going to break a cup. And he just said, Adam, this breaks a lot. It's 2 cups. I said, are you sure? And have you ever seen this putt in your life here before? And he said,
kind of a big one.
Adam, it breaks 2 cups. So, I don't know. And that was Steve. That's how he delivered lines. There was no questioning it whatsoever. So he was adamant it broke 2 cups. I mean, I don't know if I put it out there 2 cups or not, or whether I got it like a cup and a half and gave it a bit of a firmer run. But, I definitely moved out there way more than I thought.
First off, that's credit to you for, 1, trusting him, and 2, in that moment, to have a caddy be like, go against his player and be like, no, it takes more than that. I mean, that.
Big balls. If you miss that high side, it's gonna be like, oopsies. Yeah. We'll get him on the next.
He look, to be fair, Steve doesn't mind hanging him out there. That's all his game. and luckily he's had a lot of victories, so he doesn't have to stew over too many losses. But I'm sure he's lost a couple if you ask him that he'd take back. But with all the victories, I think his confidence was just the thing that set him apart as a caddy, and being able to deliver in a situation like that. But he delivered like that on the first green Thursday. It was the same stuff, and that's why he was so good and consistent. And he brought a lot of confidence to me in my game. And to have that trust. I haven't watched the whole Masters Sunday that much, but I have watched the last couple of holes in the playoff a few times. And when I watch that and I look at the interaction between Steve and I just think it's, you can tell we're really working together there, and that made a difference at those big moments.
That's such a cool moment.
Yep.
We gotta get to the E9.
Yeah, I want to ask one more just question, like long term, because like Adam, throughout your career, you're like a 17 to 20 events on the PGA Tour type of a guy, which is plenty, but I mean, you still enjoy your time away too. Do you view yourself as someone that wants to play on the Champions Tour once you're 50, or do you have ambitions to do stuff outside of golf?
It's really hard one to answer. Um, especially given like the shift in how everything's now changing. I mean, if you say in 5 years I'm going to be 47, what does the golf landscape look like? I mean, who knows at the moment? Everything seems to be changing every 8 weeks right now. So I don't know where it's going to end up. I think the honest answer is I think it's got to be really hard to just hang the clubs up and say that's it. If I'm still playing in 7 years' time and I'm getting close to 50, to just walk away at any level that's kind of remotely competitive, I think it'd be pretty hard to just completely walk away. And I don't think I'd want to. I think, the best thing is I get to go back to the Masters every year for as long as I can possibly carry myself around the golf course there at Augusta National. So I'll definitely be, I look to a guy like Fred Couples who, man, he was doing a nice job making cuts all the time into his 60s. To think about if I could keep myself healthy and play at that level, I think I'd enjoy that. I don't know what else I'd be good at, to be honest.
You'll be a shampoo model. That's
Yeah,
always
shampoo.
there.
Yeah,
You got to let it go a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, then
right,
I
Adam,
can
we're
get
gonna-
that fro going for you.
God,
Exactly.
I gotta
You'd be like
see
little
this.
Troy Polamalu. Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
That's a nice Head and Shoulders. Good
All right,
money.
we do this to everyone. It's called the Emergency 9. Just 9 more fun questions about Adam Scott. We ask this to everybody. You can trade lives with anyone, dead or alive. You get to be them for a day. Who would it be?
Sorry, say that one again.
You can trade lives with anyone. You get to be somebody else, whether they're dead or alive, whatever it is, one day of their life. Who would it be?
Elvis Presley.
Okay. I watched that movie recently, by the way.
Yeah, I
Kind of
know.
a cool
That's
thing
I
going on.
did too.
He had it
That's
going for a
why
minute.
I thought of it. That's why I thought of it. We were just in Memphis. We were just in Memphis recently.
He had some good days. He had some good, and like yourself, a bit of a fashionista, Mr. Presley.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this. Which one of your fashion statements are you more surprised didn't blow up mainstream? The super pleated pants or the doo-doo brown everything look?
I think the doo-doo brown did pretty well. I mean, that got a lot of attention. I'm disappointed the super pleated pants didn't come back. I couldn't, Bill Haas gave me some positive feedback on the pleated pants, but that's about where it stopped.
Was that your idea or was that your clothing company's idea? Like, hey, let's try and see if we can bring these back.
It was kind of, we got some old images of like Hogan and stuff and tried to modernize that look. I don't know if we pulled it off, but it was kind of fun for me anyway.
It got a lot of attention. You're probably the only guy in golf that could put a trash can over his head and people are like, yeah, dude,
Looks great.
that's it. That's the new shit right there.
Yeah. Doo-doo brown trash can.
The doo-doo brown was hot too. I like that look.
Yeah.
All right, next one,
I'm going to
because
start doing that.
we talked about Steve Williams for a second earlier. Please tell me you've ever asked him about the 2000 U.S. Open when he's caddying for Tiger, 18, when apparently it was the last ball in the bag. Have you ever talked to him about that story, and can you confirm that that actually was true?
As far as I know, that is true. Steve
Oh, my God.
can embellish a story, but that one is true. That's been confirmed by Tiger as well, to me.
That was just shocking.
That would be the most unbelievable thing to ever happen in golf.
Okay.
Just a quick little lefty ball on 18.
Yeah.
Whoops. All right, let's just reload. We're still up by 100.
Yeah, one more left, and they were, I don't know what they were, one more down there.
Yeah, you'd have been diving into that Pacific real quick. All right, Adam, I need you to put your thinking cap on here and see if you remember this, okay? But your college golf coach, Dwayne Knight, had a thing that he used to say to all his players, from what we're told, is like, what are you, Adam? And there was a certain response you're supposed to give to that question. Can you think of your best response to Coach Dwayne Knight in college when he asked you, what are you, Adam?
I think I said I'm 2 over.
That's pretty...
I think it was
close.
2 effing over, Dwayne.
We've been told it was...
Is that what it was? Oh, I cleaned it up. Oh, I forgot.
That's what we were told.
Because You're always supposed to call him Coach Knight.
Yeah.
And when he said, "What are you, a good putter?"
I'm
you
a great putter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm too fucking over, Dwayne.
Too fucking over, Dwayne.
That's right.
We've heard that. Our sources aren't always super credible, but we've been told that
this
on a
is
couple
good.
occasions.
You guys have definitely dug in and done some homework because this is good stuff. Funny. Too good.
But
Credit to you guys.
You're another one of.
I love that response.
That's
Too fucking over, Dwayne. What are you gonna do? Kick me off the team? Nope.
Yeah.
You're a tough one though, because you're just so nice.
Yeah.
You don't have any dark stories.
Nah, nothing to anyway. But yeah, he liked to penalize us and run laps every time. If we bogeyed the last 3 holes or something. If you're over par the last 3, he had his little things that were to be penalized for, and if you didn't say I'm a great putter, then you were running laps, and I couldn't care less running laps. But I was so mad on the golf course, and I didn't need to hear that.
That's such a great. It's true. I knew it was true.
What was it also true you were a part of the Sigma Chi fraternity at UNLV?
I have no idea how that started. I didn't even know there is a fraternity at UNLV, but no, I definitely am not.
Adam,
so many guys get disappointed. They're out there yelling stuff at me that I really don't know what it means, and they think I'm their fraternity brother. But unfortunately, I was not in a fraternity.
Show us your ankle right now. Prove it. Show us your ankle right now. See
I had it lasered off.
That's why you wear the high socks, dude.
I can imagine guys being like, "Oh, that's my fraternity brother, Adam Scott over there."
There he is, dude. We're basically brothers. You want to meet him?
All right, there's that great commercial where there's a guy named Michael Jordan that made a dinner reservation, shows up, and he's like, table for Michael Jordan, and they're all disappointed. But for you, have you ever showed up to a dinner reservation as Adam Scott and then be actually disappointed it wasn't the actor Adam Scott?
Yeah, funnily enough, we've never crossed paths, the actor and myself. I did see he did a spoof once, like on Adult Swim, of himself and John Daly, the actor. There's an actor, John Daly, too, and they were kind of taking the piss out of me and John Daly. So I've seen that, but we've never crossed paths. I think we should at some point. We kind of
that feels
have to see, but I'd be doing better on that Pip if I kind of had his social media following, probably.
He's got a big one.
Yeah, you got to lean into that, embrace that. They're giving away a lot of cash.
Maybe I gotta milk that and somehow get us confused to work my way up that Pip number.
Yeah, you get a little cameo on Severance upcoming season. That might do magic for you.
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna stay on UNLV here for a second. Do you think you would have stayed longer at UNLV if Charlie Hoffman wasn't there?
I wish I could say yes, but he left after my freshman year, so that wasn't the reason. It looks like I left because Charlie left, but yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it was a tough year being hazed by Charlie. He thinks he took it pretty easy on me, probably compared to what he got. But I was probably a little too soft and deer in the headlights, kid coming from Australia to college golf in America. Man, carrying around Charlie's luggage and unpacking his shit every week was brutal. Packing his underwear into drawers and stuff at whatever motel we were staying at. There's too much to think about. I don't want to go back there.
It's good to hear that he has always been a seagull. I mean, he has always been one. Never changed, never will.
Yeah, say what you want about him.
It's the greatest nickname on the PGA Tour, too.
Adam, true or false, though, he did, in fact, save your life in Hawaii. Maybe the one nice thing he's ever done for another human. Is this true?
Well, okay. That's maybe been embellished a little bit. But I did, we were out messing around body surfing and stuff, and we were coming back in, and we were in knee-deep water, and I twisted my leg and dislocated my kneecap in the water. And he and Michael Kirk, I think it was on the trip with us that week, and they kind of had to David Hasselhoff me back up to the beach.
Well, he was in his natural habitat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Bad look for a surfer from Australia. Seagull's got to come rescue a knee-deep
That's
water.
right.
All right.
That's right.
But he did do something nice. All right, we'll give him that.
All right.
He did.
Next one. who do you think had a bigger celebration after winning a major? You after the 2013 Masters, or Shane Lowry with the Claret Jug after winning in 2019?
Wow. I think Shane. You know, he got to like drive back to Dublin that night. Can you imagine? Like, you know, I gave it a good nudge, but I didn't go straight home to Australia, and I gave it a good nudge though. But I should have driven down to Dublin that night after Shane won the Open. It would have been epic. Yeah, I think I'll give that one to Shane.
I think that Claret Jug was like, get me away from this guy. I need a little break from him.
Someone win me. Someone else win me. I gave it a good nudge.
I gave
it a good nudge. I like that. It's like getting amongst it. All right, last one from me, Adam. What is more dangerous to a young man's health? Going to college in Las Vegas or taking an intercontinental private flight with Ernie Els?
I think these days taking that intercontinental flight, it's getting you know, it's tough to drink underage these days in these Las Vegases. So you could sneak in places. Charlie Hoffman could tell you some stories about that from Las Vegas. But yeah, Ernie conditioned me well over the years. We had some really great times. He was so good to me on and off the golf course. Like, he was really a bit of a big brother for me for a long time, and learned so much of him, not just on the golf course, but also how to have a good session after a Sunday at the golf.
A good nudge. What was the one he told us when he came on from? Y'all were going from Asia to the Australian Open.
Yeah,
on Super Bowl week, wasn't it?
At Royal Melbourne, I believe.
Yeah, and you guys both played great somehow.
We played great. Yeah, I don't know why we never decided to kind of do that as preparation for a major. Like, each time we did, one of us ended up winning the tournament. The Melbourne one kind of made it around the tour a little bit, but we had another night. It was at the Johnny Walker Classic back in the day in Beijing, and that stretched into, you know, like it's some kind of 40-hour affair that never ended, and I ended up winning that week at the Johnny Walker. But you know, we never really did it leading into a major, so maybe that has to happen.
There's still time for you. There's still time for you, Adam.
I'm happy to help you join for a little 40-hour sesh before this year's Masters, and we'll see what happens.
We'll just give it a good. We'll give it a good nudge.
Be feeling sweet out there.
Yeah, T-bones next year. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's on.
Make a reservation now.
We're gonna nudge the shit out of it.
All right, last one. I'm very interested to hear the answer to this. Is it true house guests are no longer allowed to take over the Bluetooth music at your house?
That is true. They're welcome to, but they need to be careful. Lessons have been learned at my house about using the Bluetooth. Yeah.
Do you want to get into it or just let it go?
I think we should let that one go. I think
that's far. You got a squeaky clean image.
I'm good. You know, other than telling the coach I was too fucking over, I'm pretty clean. But we're going to throw a lot of other people under the bus if we go to that one. So that's a funny story. And you know, ultimately, there was no harm done, I think. And someone had a good time in the end.
It's a great story.
Our lips are sealed.
And I love the guy, too. I mean, he is one of the best. God.
He's the absolute best. Such a good guy. And he ended up caddying for me for the better part of a couple of years. And we had a really good run out there, winning a couple of events in a row. So there
you go, just for a little hint for everyone out there.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, very PR savvy. Savvy.
Well, Adam, man, we really appreciate it. Best of luck at the President's Cup, and I'll be seeing you in Charlotte.
Thanks. Yeah, look forward to it, Colt. Thanks, Drew. Good to be with you guys.
All right, that was Adam Scott joining us on Golf Subpar. He knows they got quite the mountain to climb against Team USA this week at Quail Hollow, but listen, you got some very motivated guys probably playing with a chip on their shoulder for all the disrespect they're getting. It would be a hell of a story if they could somehow make this thing close.
That's kind of my hope. I don't expect the internationals to win this thing. It'd be a monumental upset in golf. I don't think in team events going forward ever, maybe we might see a minus 700 on the board for Team USA. But I want it to be fun. Like, dude, how good was Melbourne? That was like the best one probably since South Africa that I can remember. Whereas like this thing could go either way going into singles, but they got a big hill to climb. Adam Scott's been there a million times. He's the vet now of that group. And it was just fun. Like, we talked a lot of President's Cup at the beginning, but then at the end, like, got into some stories and some fun stuff. Adam Scott does an unbelievable job for a world-class superstar of staying under the radar. He's not on. He doesn't do any social media. He's not trying to make appearances and be out. He wants everything private, and to finally get like some kind of cool stories out of the guy, like, he's awesome. He just doesn't want that. He doesn't want the lights like a lot of people do, which I respect more than anything. There's a lot of guys that are the opposite.
I was a little upset he didn't share the last story about his caddy, but I mean, if
can
anybody knows, you probably figured out it is fantastic. But I love sitting down. He is one of the nicest guys out there. Has always been great to me ever since I've known him. It was a pleasure to jump on with him.
Charlie Hoffman, for all the shit we give him, might have saved Adam Scott's life.
It's true.
Unbelievable. The world-class surfer need to be saved in knee-deep water.
Listen, and I want Team USA to win this week, but I do want it to be close.
I want to just have fun watching it. It's not going to be fun if it's potentially done by singles.
Yep, well, we're going to have a lot of golf this week. Got also some more football, which we're experts at.
That's free
just
money.
3 winners last week, no big deal. And it's time to put on your favorite game day gear because college football is here, and FanDuel wants you to get in on the action. Right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in free bets if your first bet doesn't win. You can do money line, parlays, same game parlay, which I know you like.
Sweetheart.
By the way, Joel Damon listens to every pick we take. Joel, just tread lightly.
Joel is texting us on how confident are you? I was like, dude, I don't know. We just pick games. We don't have any analytics here, bud.
All right, well, let's keep it rolling. We're gonna give out a football pick, our favorite bet of the week in college football, and then we're also gonna do another fun parlay like we did last week with Max Homa and the Cal Bears. This week we're gonna do it with one of Team USA's players to possibly be maybe point leader going up with whichever school he went to.
Correct.
So
there's numerous options there.
And that'll be out later in the week when all those odds come out. But right now, I'm going to go with a team that's just rolling. Maybe rolling on like a Trojan.
Yes, dude. This is a good one. I had to audible out, but this is the one.
They've covered the first 3 games of the year and done it quite easily. They're going up to a tough place. Sorry, Derek Anderson. They're going up to a tough place to play. They're going up against the Oregon State Beavers, but they're 6.5-point favorites. Lincoln Riley's got this team rolling. Hey, you cover the first 3, I'm going to keep riding.
Weird shit happens at night in Corvallis, but I couldn't agree. This is the one I looked at before I came to the super extra pick of the week. But the USC giving up less than a tub up there.
6.5, let's go.
But they're thumping right now. Love that pick. I'm going to go with one that's obviously the biggest no-brainer on the board this week, and that is the biggest game, without question, in the country, in the United States of America. The TCU Horned Frogs are getting 1.5 points against their little brother, the SMU Mustangs. Did you know that? We are getting 1.5.
You should be embarrassed
down in Highland
because
Park
you've lost
at
the last
that little
2 years.
high school stadium that we're going to come in and overrun. We're going to take what's ours, which is Iron Skillet. We already took your coach. We're going to take it all back. We're going to go back to Fort Worth and do what we do, which is win championships sometimes.
If
1.5 points, though, you would have never have thought that.
If they win for the 3rd time in a row, you have to revert to me as daddy the entire time.
I will never call you father. If we win, we've won 18 out of 20. You have to call me father.
Listen,
address me as
back
your Royal
to back
Highness.
Iron Skillet champs, about to make it a 3rd.
We're taking the skillet. By the way, ignore the plus 1.5. Take the money line. Get a little extra juice. That's the bet.
All right. Well, if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is so easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds, and when you win, you get paid fast. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app today and sign up with promo code Subpar and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 back in free bets and bet on college football all season long. Once again, promo code Subpar. Must be 21 years and older in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus listed as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after retreat. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, that's 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee, 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming, or visit www.1800gambler.net in West Virginia.
But do it responsibly.
Responsible gambling and drinking of Doers is the only way to go.
100%.
All right, go Team USA. We'll talk to you on next week's Golf Subpar.